Okay, class, here we are back in Visual Studio. Go ahead and bring the windows back up so I can use the Solution Explorer over here. And what I want to do is implement, first of all, let's create the interface. So we can go here and add a new item. So that's fine, we'll go ahead and do that. And if you look at Windows Form Interface class, so here's Interface. I'm going to go ahead and call this iDisplayable. So I want to add functionality to my classes so I can display them. So first of all, an interface must be public in order for other things to see it and be able to use it. And then I want to have string get display text with separator. And then remember, after I put a semicolon because I'm going to implement this in my classes. So let's go to product, and I want to have a colon iDisplayable. Now notice here I don't get an error because I already have get display text implemented. But if I Control X'd it and got rid of it, now you see iDisplayable up here has an error because product does not implement interface member iDisplayable.getDisplayText. So you can show potential fixes. You can implement the interface. You can implement the interface explicitly. So for example, if you have two interfaces and both of the interfaces have the same method with the same signature, you can implement them explicitly, and what that means is it'll prefix your method with the name of the interface. So I'll go ahead and click it, for example, and notice that it says iDisplayable.getDisplayText. So if you had some other interface that also implemented the same method with the same signature, you can implement it explicitly, but ours doesn't require that. So I'm just going to implement it simply like this. And other than that, I'm just going to Control Z back to this. Okay, so now we have iDisplayable and the ability to get the display text here. So now if we go back to our product maintenance form here, in the load, let's say iDisplayable of product equals new product. And let's throw a code on it of something. Okay. So notice I can use this as a type now because product implements the iDisplayable interface. I don't know why it keeps doing away. Okay, there we go. Now notice I can use iDisplayable on book now because the book in the gaming system inherits from product. So notice that I can have product or book, and I can have them in a list. I can also put them in a list as such, a list of iDisplayable. Equals new list of iDisplayable. And then we can say displayables.add product and displayables.add book. And really, even you could have this as an IEnumerable of iDisplayable. And this might need to be a list. So now we have an IEnumerable of iDisplayable, and we're giving it an actual list implementation here. And then I'm using the object initializer to say I want to add a book, a product, and a book to it. And then from there, the displayables dot for each might not let me for each it because it's a list and not an IEnumerable. Let's do displayables dot to list, because I think it was an IEnumerable, which is why it wouldn't let me. It's a type of IEnumerable, so let's get rid of this and make it a var. And now it's a list. So now I shouldn't need to to-list it here. And I'll simply say for each. So for each displayable, since they're both displayable and it forces them to confine to those parameters, I can say for each displayable console.writeLine x.getDisplayText. Oh, and I need to give it a separator. So notice the product is displayable and the book is displayable. So they have to have a getDisplayText method because they both are of type iDisplayable. So let's go back to book and see what happens if I get rid of this. I think it'll still be fine because product still has an iDisplayable method in it. But because we overrode the implementation, we should still get this implementation. So let's make sure we do. Remember, I didn't write it out here. I wrote it out to the console, so I'm going to need to go to the output window down here. And you can see that it outputted 44 and 45. Now, I would have expected to see an author, but I didn't put an author. So let me put an author because, yeah, it was going to output it, but I didn't put an author. So let's go back and put an author on my book. Author equals me. So now I should get an author for my displayable of book. Let's ensure I do. Okay. So notice I have a comma and an author for myself now, for the book. So because these are both of type iDisplayable of book and product, I can put them in a list and for each over them, and I can call the getDisplayText as long as they are of type iDisplayable. And I could also do it for unlike products. So this is easy because they already have an ISO relationship. They already inherit from one another. They already have that ISO relationship. So obviously they're going to be able to call the same method because they both should have the method. But let's say that we have two objects that don't inherit from one another. So let me make a new class. I clicked on the solution again. I'm bad at that. Let's go ahead and add class. Let's make a software class. Let's go ahead and make it public. And I'm going to go ahead and implement the iDisplayable interface again. I'm going to Control+, implement the interface. And let's give this software a version number. I'm going to make a public string version get set. And then whenever I do the get display text, I'm just going to return the version here. Okay. So now if I come back, I'll go ahead and exit out of this. I'm not going to use it. So now these things do not inherit from one another. So let's go ahead and make another iDisplayable. Software equals new software. I'm going to give it a version of 1.0. Version must be a C# reserved word. So let's go ahead and add the software to this now. And now when I for each over it, I should get the software version. And sure enough, I do, 1.0. So we expected this to happen for types that inherit from one another, but now we can use polymorphism to include a software as well that doesn't inherit from product. Now you can inherit from product. It made sense, and I think the book ended up making a software class and inherited from product. But for the sake of a demonstration that you can put multiple, you can use the interfaces as types and use them to group them together and put them in a list and display them that way. And it conformed to the interface, and I can call the get display text because it conforms to that interface. Alright, I hope that made sense. That about does it for interfaces. You can have interfaces with multiple methods. I believe coming up in a week or two there should be an extra credit assignment where you make your own list, and from there you implement the IEnumerable interface on it, which has the get enumerator, it's just extra credit, but it does give you a little bit because we don't do a lot of implementing interfaces in this class. But that'll give you a little bit of practice doing it. The next video I'll be covering how to organize and document your classes, which is chapter 16. Should be review somewhat. It's stuff that I've been doing all along, whether or not you've caught on with what I've been doing or how I've been organizing my classes or anything like that. But it's still good, as organizing and documenting your classes is pretty standard across organizations. Anywhere you go, they would expect you to do this to make it easier to read and have everything in the same place. So it is a good lecture to watch. So I'll see you then. Thanks.